The SteamWorld series has gone from strength to strength thanks in part to its incredibly varied gameplay, with the Metroidvania style of Dig and Dig 2 alongside the XCOM-esque approach in Heist. SteamWorld Quest sees developer Imogen Form's first foray into the realm of RPGs, and it is an undeniably brilliant one. You're tasked with leading a band of aspiring heroes throughout a beautifully hand-drawn world in an attempt to save the world whilst battling evil along the way. Amelie, Copernica, Galileo and the whole rest of the likeable cast of characters are undoubtedly some of the best that Imogen Form have created yet, with far more personality than the team have previously portrayed in their past titles. Whilst the overarching story itself is a fairly generic one, the amusing light-hearted back and forths, regular quips and conversations all help to keep things flowing from beginning to end. You'll directly control a character and explore in the world by navigating between small sections, almost like a maze. You discover secrets, open chests, attack objects and enemies to get the upper hand in battle. The majority of your time in SteamWorld Quest will be spent in those battles, of which are by far the star of the show here. Despite the first 20 or 30 minutes or so feeling a little simplistic, Quest quickly starts to expand on the battle concepts, building out some really great mechanics. Now, bear with me whilst I try and explain each of the game's core combat mechanics. It's a lot more simple when you're playing it versus trying to explain it, if you know what I'm saying. The game utilises a turn-based card-focused combat system. You build a deck of cards for each character, of which you can have 3 in your party at a time, like many other RPGs. Each deck consists of 8 cards. During combat you'll draw from a hand of those cards at random from your character's 3 decks. Unlike most turn-based RPGs though, each character doesn't have to attack. Instead, you get to play 3 cards from your hand, which can consist of a single character's cards or a mix and match of any of them. You can even swap out a few of your cards in each hand, each turn too, for a random draw from your deck. Quest begins to layer on the complexity early, introducing mechanics such as combos where you play 3 cards from the same character's deck and get an extra ability in turn, ranging from bleed attacks to defensive barriers for the full team, and there's even chain attacks, which are cards which require you to play a following card from a specific character's deck to produce enhanced effects. Although it sounds pretty complex, it's actually straightforward when you're playing the game. Amongst this, there's all the usual range of status effects seen in most other RPGs, such as lowering and bolstering elemental resistances, sleep, paralysis, bleed, and a whole lot more. The deck-based approach though ends up having an effect on every element of the game's combat. If a character dies, for example, whilst you still might draw their cards, they'll be useless whilst that character remains dead. Or if a specific status effect such as confusion is applied to that character, then all of that character's cards will be affected, but the rest of the parties won't. Alongside that, cards either build up cogs, which is kind of like a power meter, or they spend them. The more powerful cards require a set amount of cogs before they can be played, with some even spending any that are available to bolster their strength. Enemies play by the same rules too, with some visibly building to special attacks. Each have various strengths and weaknesses which are clearly displayed via the information view too. The result of all of this is a super blend of traditional turn-based RPG combat mixed in with a series of complex yet easy to grasp card and deck building mechanics. Quest does a brilliant job of gradually layering on the various systems and mechanics. The whole thing is an absolute blast to wrap your head around. Cards can be found throughout the game's world, from hidden chests to rewards along the standard quest path. You can even craft and upgrade cards using resources dished out after each battle. There's also RPG style equipment to deck out your characters with, providing them with various stat bonuses and weapons to discover which not only improve their stats, but even introduce new abilities. I didn't actually encounter any bugs throughout my time playing the game whatsoever, and there's of course no microtransactions in sight here. That said, I did find a few of the cards to be a little underpowered in comparison to others. There may be a little bit of potential fine tuning that needs to be done here. I actually ended up building a pretty solid series of decks with 3 specific characters about midway through the game, which I then just stuck with throughout the entire rest of the experience. Whilst other characters and other cards kept being dished out, any attempts at experimenting with those often led to worse results. My Armilly was capable of huge physical damage, and Copernica provided essential damage barriers and massive magic damage too, alongside my tanky Galio with a whopping health pool, healing skills and defensive boosts. We were just pretty much unbeatable. This build seemed capable of handling anything the game threw at me on the standard difficulty granted. The game does actually feature a harder difficulty for those which want a tougher challenge or want to really fine tune and craft their builds. There's certainly plenty of options here, with a myriad of cards to choose from and various characters to be built in vastly different ways, with equipment to spice things up further. The flexibility through the card and deck building system is a ton of fun to experiment with, and it feels really fresh. Developer Image and Form's experience of working with their IP and toolset is clearly improving with every entry into the series. This game runs super smooth on the Switch, with almost non-existent load times, stable performance and sharp image quality, which really highlights the game's beautiful hand-drawn art style. SteamWorld Quest is arguably the best SteamWorld game released yet. Admittedly, your opinion may vary a little bit based on genre preferences, but it certainly provides a brilliantly addictive blend of RPG and collectible card game mechanics wrapped up in a polished and attractive package. If there's any criticism I can give, it's that I wish there was a bit more of it. I wholeheartedly recommend giving it a go. Priced at $25 or £22.50, SteamWorld Quest provides brilliant value for money. The genre-blending turn-based RPG meets card game mechanics serve as a refreshingly addictive change of pace. It's all wrapped up in a polished, quirky and light-hearted adventure featuring fun characters and a beautiful hand-drawn art style. The game is a blast to play from beginning to end, and it is well worth your time and hard-earned cash. Be sure to like, share and subscribe for more content like this.